this is a video about the conditionals, specifically the zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, third conditional, and the mixed conditionals, which is special. But first, what is a conditional sentence? Well, a conditional sentence has two parts or clauses that give a condition in the dependent clause and a result in the independent clause. It's used to speculate about what will happen, what could happen, what might happen, what we wish could happen. Now, the form for this conditional sentence can be if clause plus the main clause, which is two parts, like I said. This is what normally all the conditionals do. You have two clauses, like we see first the if clause, but then it has the main clause. Normally and typically, not all the time, the main clause can be used on its own, but for to be a conditional sentence, we got to add the if clause. The if clause is just not a one-time thing where it just appears on two conditionals and that's it. It appears at every single conditional, just like the main clause. A random example here, it says, if it rains tomorrow, we will not come. You can see the formula being in this sentence. Before the comma, in the if it rains tomorrow, there's the if clause. You got the if at the first, like the first word, and then after the comma, it says we will not come. You can get rid of the if clause, capitalize the first W, and that's a full sentence. That is the main clause. For like I said, for it to be conditional, you need to have the if clause. Now that we know what a conditional sentence is, let's get into the 5 conditional sentences. First is the zero conditional. Now, what is the zero conditional? Well, it's a real conditional which is used in real life scenarios, not fictional or hypothetical. It uses the present tense in both clauses, and it used to talk about something that is always and always will be, no matter what, true. That these actions are generally possible and typically done. They're normally used in scientific facts and general truths. The formula for this conditional, as you can see, is the following. If plus subject plus simple present or present simple, comma, subject plus simple present or present simple. Some examples for this conditional are the following 4 sentences. Number 1, if it rains, I stay at home. We can see the formula being here. If it rains, I stay at home. The if is there. The subject is, well, rain. There's the, and with the simple present, it rains. Now, for the comma, there's there, and then the subject, which is me, I, and then the simple present, stay, and then the rest of the sentence, at home. Second example, if you cross an international date line, the time changes. You can see it here. You got the if and the subject, which is the international date line, and the simple present of, well, I'm crossing an international date line. Then you got the comma, the subject, which is the time, and the simple present of it changing. Number three, if you run, you get tired. And number four, if the wind blows, the trees move. Now, now we know what the zero conditional is. Let's get into the first conditional. What is the first conditional? Well, the first conditional is a real conditional, just like the zero conditional. But the first conditional uses the present tense in the if clause and the future tense in the results clause. So not only this conditional is used in the present, but can also be used in the future. This form is normally used in things that is a probability or that can happen in the present or in the future, just like I said. The formula for this conditional is the following. If plus simple present or present simple, comma, will, or you can do plus will, plus base verb. Now, some examples for this conditional are the following. Number one, if I see you later, I will say hello. Again, this sentence is used in the future tense. That's why it's like, oh, I'm talking to you right now, but later in the future, if I do see you later, I'll say hi. I will say hello. With the formula, you can see the if plus the simple present, which is see you later, then the comma and the will. You can see the will. And then the base verb, which is say. Number two, if it does rain tomorrow, we will stay at home. Again, you got the if, you got the simple present of like, oh, it's going to, if it does rain tomorrow, like, again, this is in the future. But with the simple present, oh, if it does rain tomorrow, we will stay at home. No doubt about that. Now, number three, if you do your work, I will pay you more. Who doesn't love that, huh? Now, number four, if I finish work, I will lie in bed sooner. Now, now we know the first conditional. Let's get into the second conditional. Now, unlike the unlike the zero and first conditional, the second conditional is an unreal conditional. It uses the past tense in the if clause with a modal, which its auxiliary verbs being would, could, may, and might, and a base verb in the results clause. The second conditional is used when someone is thinking of a hypothetical scenario or situation that's very unlikely or that simply cannot occur or happen. What this means is, I say, oh, I'm going to think about something that doesn't real. I'm gonna think that I can fly to the moon. Not, it's kind of feels like that. Realistically, you can alone fly to the moon. You can't wake up in bed and say, you know what? In 2 minutes, I'm gonna fly to the moon. No, you need to have a spaceship or with crew, and you need to learn things and this and that. But like I said, it's a hypothetical situation. If it uses the verb be, it's typical to use the verb were within a more formal context. You can see one of the examples on the screen. If I were you, I will get a new job. But if it uses was, it becomes informal. The formula for this conditional is the following. If plus subject plus simple past or past simple, comma, subject plus modal, which I said can be would, could, may, and might, plus a base verb. Now, one of some examples for this conditional are the following four sentences. Number one, if I were you, I wouldn't wait to study for the test. This is a scenario that happens to everyone. Oh, if I don't study right now, I'll fail the test. But you know what? I got time. I can do it later. Then later becomes 1 day, then 2 days, then 3 days, then a week, and then boom, the day of the test comes and you didn't do nothing. But you can see the sentence here. The were become, since in the if clause it has the verb were, which becomes formal. Now, in the second conditional, second example, if I can fly, I would go to the moon. An example that I said already. Is unrealistic to go and fly to the moon by yourself with just nothing but mental capacity. But if you can think about it and it becomes a hypothetical situation, then you can. Now, number three. If I was older, I would buy the lottery. Now, just I and the simple past. Like, oh, I wish I was older so I could do this or that or this. Now you got the subject again after the comma, which is again I, and the modal of would, and the base verb buy, not but, buy. Now, number three, no, or number four. If I was the queen, I would give everyone a duck. Obviously, you can't be the queen unless you're the queen herself. Uh, uh, which country? Be my guest. But if you want to be a queen, just go to a country and say, hey, I want to become a queen, and just go, all right, you're the queen. Obviously, that's hypothetical. You cannot do that, but give it a shot. Maybe you can do it. But again, here in the if clause, if I was the queen, like like I said before, if it uses were, the verb were, it becomes formal. But since it's using was, now it becomes informal. Now, that's the second conditional. Let's get into the third conditional. What is the third conditional? With the third conditional is a unreal conditional, just like the second conditional, but it utilizes the past perfect in the if clause with the modal and present perfects in the results clause. Or in the screen you can see, oh, where's the present perfect? Where's the it's the perfect conditional, which is a combination of would slash wouldn't, which is like would not, plus have plus past participle. Like the second conditional, this conditional is used in hypothetical situations in the past that simply did not occur nor happen. Now, the formula for this is the following. If plus subjects plus past perfect, comma, subjects plus modal plus had plus present perfect, which that makes the perfect conditional. Now, some examples for this conditional are the following four sentences. If I had finished college, I would have become a doctor. Here we can see the past perfect in the if clause. If I had finished college. I didn't finish college, but if I did. Now, in the result clause, I would have become a doctor. That is the present perfect. Like, if I, like, if you're thinking back, like, oh, if I did this, I would be in the situation right now. Or if I would have fixed my car, I wouldn't have to go to the mechanic. You can get it, right? Now, the second example, if he had done his work, he wouldn't have to leave. Remember, kids, do your work or you'll be out of a job. I know everyone says, I don't want to go to work, but sadly, we have to. Now, the third example, if I had understood the work, I would have passed the exam. This happens to some of us. Yes, me included. Now, in the if clause, the if I had understood the work, I would have passed the exam. Like in the if clause, if I understood the work, you can see the past perfect again. And then you got the comma, and then the modal, which is would, and then the had or have, and then the present perfect, which is past. Now, final example. If they hadn't been distracted, they wouldn't have been lost. Now, for this example, for the if clause, if they hadn't been distracted, it's kind of special thanks to the hadn't is the combination of had not. Okay? Now that we understand the third conditional, let's get into the mixed conditional. The mixed conditional is an unreal conditional. It utilizes two formulas since it combines both second and third conditions. Like I said, it was special. The mixed condition is special. Why? It combines two conditionals, the second and the third. And it presents both an unreal, that's in the past or in the present tense, that in the resulting clause and in the opposing clause. In the first clause is in the present tense. The end clause would be in the past tense. And if the first clause is in the past tense, the end clause will be in the present tense. Now, the first formula presents an unreal condition in the past that changes an unreal outcome in the present. Or in short, the past changes the present. The formula is if plus subject plus past perfect, comma, modal, which is would, could, might, or may, plus base verb. Some examples for this formula are the following four sentences. If I had finished college, I would have become a doctor now. Just like the other one, if I would have finished college, I would be a doctor now. Here you can see the past perfect, the had finished. Okay? And then you got the subject and the modal, the I would, and the base verb have. Second, um, second example. If I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been here now. Now, there's a following example that's similar, but not really. It's kind of reversed. Like I said, in the if clause, you got the I had listened. That is the if, not the I had listened. That is the if, the subject, and the past perfect. And in the resulting clause, I wouldn't have been here. Or you can, that's the subject, which is I, the and the modal, which is would. But this one is kind of special again, since it has the would not. And then the base verb, which is have. Now, the third example, which is kind of reverse for this one, if you had listened to me, you wouldn't have been here. Again, it's the same thing, but just reversed on the type of situation. First, it was if I did listen to you, or if I had listened to you. Now it's like if you would have listened to me. It's the same thing as the previous one. The formula, you can see it right there. And then the final example, if they had studied, they would have passed the finals. Again, we can see the formula. The if plus the subject, which is they, and the past perfect, which is had studied. And then after the comma, the resulting clause, which is subject, which is again they, the modal, which is would, and the base verb have. And then the rest of the sentence, past the finals. That is the first formula. Now let's get into the second formula. This formula presents an unreal condition in the present that changes an unreal outcome in the past. Or in short, the present changes the past. The formula for this is if plus simple past plus, no, subject plus modal plus present perfect. Let me repeat. If plus simple past, comma, subject plus modal plus present perfect. Or present or perfect conditions. Some examples for this is the following. If I spoke louder, you would have heard me before. Now, unlike the first formula, you can see here the simple past, spoke, and then the modal, you would, and then the present perfect, have heard me. See, we can see it. The second example is, if I were nicer, I could have had more friends when younger. If clause, you got the if plus the simple past, which is were nicer. Then the subject, which is I. Then it will be the modal, which this time is could. And then the present perfect had more friends. Or had. Third example, if I drove by, we could have gone to the movies. Again, the subject, which is I, you got the if, you got the subject I, and then the simple past, which is drove. And then the comma, and then the subject again, we, the modal could, and then the present perfect, have gone. And the final example is, if you ran faster, you would have reached the train. Again, for the formula, if plus simple past, which is ran, and then the comma, then subject of you, then the modal, which is could, and then the present perfect have. Now you know what a conditional is and its types. Yippee, you did it! Now I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll throw you off the river.